Hello, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me here today, this morning on Narcissism 101, Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Okay, so hope everybody is having a great day so far. If you're in Canada, hope you had a good Thanksgiving weekend. I know I did. Yeah, before we get into what we're going to talk about today, if you want a one-on-one session, please email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com, or you can send a text message to 647-406-3057. If you want to call the number, just let me know in text. Just send me a text. Let me know that it's you and you want to talk about your experience, just so that I know who I'm dealing with, and then we can get you the help that you need. So, what we are going to talk about today, guys, is um, who cares about the new supply? Yes, I'm going to make a video on this. I was thinking about it and I gave it some thought, and I thought to myself, who cares about the new supply? Really, who cares about the new supply? Because the person that the narcissist discarded you for, and again, you have to remember that all narcissists, they all play by the same playbook. They do the exact same things to everybody, right? If this person that the narcissist discarded me for is going to get the same exact treatment that I got, why should I care about who this new supply is? Why should I care if when I go on social media and for some reason I'm still in contact with the narcissist and I have them on social media, whether that's on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever, it doesn't matter what platform you use, whatever, right? Why do I care what the narcissist is posting and doing with the new supply? Why do I care? And the truth is, you shouldn't care. Now, the reason why I say this is because the new supply, they're going to be getting it way worse than you are. Now, I know it's going to be hard to wrap your head around, especially if when the narcissist just went off just like that, and they just disappear with the new supply, and they make it seem as though everything is amazing. Like they went on vacation, or they just looks like they're living their best life. They went on vacation or they took a picture and it just looks beautiful and things like that. And you're saying to yourself, well, what about me? Why did they leave me? Did the new supply have something that I didn't have? And the truth is, the answer to that question is no, not necessarily. The new supply didn't have anything that you had. The truth is that the narcissist, you have to remember, with narcissists, they don't like being alone. They cannot be alone. They have abandonment issues, right? But what narcissists like to do is they like to dump all their toxicity onto other people, because what they want to do is they think they're entitled to have what other people have, and they believe if they dump their toxicity onto someone else, that person is going to now be them, right? Because narcissists, they hate themselves, they hate who they are, right? So that's why they go from supply to supply to supply, because they think that everybody is just as bad as they are. They think that everybody cheats. They think that everybody is a master manipulator. They think that everybody gaslights. They think that everybody smear campaigns. They think that people are going to abandon them. They think that people are going to expose them. That's why when you were dealing with whatever narcissist you were dealing with, it could be your parents or a parent, it could be your siblings or a sibling, it could be your workplace, your boss who turns out to be the narcissist. It could be someone in a religious organization, in a religious group, whether you go to church or mosque, synagogue, whatever that is. It could be one of your friends that you're just finding out, oh my gosh, that they're a narcissist as well. It could be anybody, whomever that person is, guys. What you have to understand is that narcissists, they all play by the same playbook. They do the exact same things. And the new supply, they're getting exactly what you got, but it's 10 times worse. Now, someone's going to ask me, how is that possible that the the new supply is getting worse than I am, but it seems like they're living their best life? Well, I'll tell you this. I'll be real with you here. The truth is that narcissists, they have an uncanny knack of making things seem and look too good to be true, right? Because it is too good to be true. All the time, it's too good to be true. And this is part of the facade. This is part of the image that the narcissist crafts for everybody. They make it seem like they are the victim. They make it seem like they're the person that's in trouble, the damsel in distress if they're a female covert narcissist. They make it seem as though, everybody owes them something, right? So they have a way of doing this. And the thing is, and I mentioned this to many people whom I coach and people whom I when I comment on platforms and things like that, what I say is that the narcissist does this as a full-time job, and that is because that is all they know, right? Because most likely, and I mean 99%, they came from a family of narcissists, right? Whether that was a narcissistic parent, whether both the parents were narcissists, whether it was an aunt who was a narcissist, an uncle who was a narcissist, a grandparent who was a narcissist, maybe one of their siblings turned out to be narcissists and they had gotten in their ear all their lives. Who knows? Right? But what I'm saying is that narcissists are always doing this. This is what they know. This is what they know. This is their life's work. This is what they're doing all the time, right? But the truth is that you don't see it happening all the time because the narcissist doesn't want people to know who they are. That's why they do things sneaky. That's why they do things under cloak and dagger like wolves in sheep's clothing, right? That's why they come as your friend, but they turn out to be your worst enemy, right? Because this is what they do, right? This is why they're narcissists, right? Because narcissists, the real definition of a narcissist, if you want it in a nutshell, is somebody who only thinks about themselves. They only see themselves. They don't see anybody else. I made a video before in the past called Narcissist. Narcissist is a Greek person who, only looked at himself. Right? He didn't care about anybody else but himself. He looked in a pond for too long, stared in it too long, and then, he didn't eat, he didn't sleep, he didn't drink, he didn't do anything because he fell in love with himself. And guess what? It ended up killing him, right? And narcissists, same thing, really. They're going to end up going down swinging. They're going to die, at some point because all they do is think about themselves. So understand this. Understand what I'm saying. Narcissists, you shouldn't care about the new supply because, and the other thing is you shouldn't care about them because they were the one who was cheating with your spouse, or they were the one who was, amping up the narcissist, to smear campaign you and disrespect you and all that, because chances are that new supply knew about you before you knew about the narcissist. Oh, I'm going to say that again because maybe someone didn't catch that. That new supply that you're so worried about, they knew about you before you knew about the narcissist. Because you have to keep in mind, narcissists, when the discard happens, when the narcissist discards you, like when they stop talking to you, when they, when they just get rid of you, chances are the thing is, when they discard you, they move on to someone, yes, but they've been interested and talking to that person even before they discarded you, right? Because narcissists, they're afraid, they're very anxious people, they're very depressed people, they're very miserable people. That's why I said earlier in this video that narcissists always think that everybody's doing what they're doing. Right? So they see everything as bad. They see everybody as a bad person. They paint people bad. That's something that a lot of people have a hard time understanding. And they ask themselves, so if they see me as a bad person, why would they get involved with me? Well, the answer to that question is because narcissists cannot be alone. They can't be by themselves, because if they're by themselves for even 1 minute, that means that they have to think about all the lives that they've destroyed. They have to think about all the people that they've stolen money from. They have to think about all the people that they've lied to, all the people that they've cheated on, all the people that they've put on hold, right? That they talk to, and then out of nowhere they just stop talking to them, and then months or years later they just pop up as if nothing happened, right? Then they think that everything is okay, but then that person they wise up and figure it out, or that person stays stuck because they think that the narcissist sold them a good deal, right? And then out of nowhere, now the narcissist is nowhere to be found. So what I'm saying here, guys, is that narcissists, they can't be by themselves for that reason. It's because it's the image that they see of themselves, it's too much for them to bear. They would get a narcissistic injury thinking about all those people that they've destroyed. And that's a long list of that's a lot of people that they've destroyed. Because think about it. Every single day, narcissists, they're always going from person to person to person to person to person, from place to place to place to place, from business to business to business. But the thing is, you don't know any about this because the narcissist won't be transparent with you. They won't be honest with you because they don't want you to figure out who they are. That's why, for example, when you're trying to have a reasonable conversation with the narcissist, whomever that narcissist is, whether it's your boss, whether it's your spouse, whomever it is, it doesn't matter. You can pretty much fill in that blank of whoever you want. Whether it could be a healthcare professional, it could be someone you're talking to on the phone. It doesn't matter. You can just put anybody there, whatever person that person happens to be, whatever role they decide to play in that life that you're talking about. What I'm saying here. Think about when you were trying to have a reasonable conversation with them, like you were trying to get answers from them, and they weren't being direct with you, right? They were giving you half truths, and you felt as though something was missing the whole time. And the truth is, something was missing the whole time. The person you're dealing with wasn't being honest with you because they can't be honest with anybody. So if you think for a second that new supply is getting everything good from the narcissist, then you're totally missing the point here. Because the new supply, they're getting it 10 times worse. They're either abusing the narcissist or the narcissist is abusing them. Either way, it's not anything good. It's not anything that you need to know about because the narcissist is doing the same exact things because they do the same playbook. Love bomb stage where everything is, and for those of you who are new to my channel, thank you so much for being here. And if you've never heard of a love bomb, what that is when the narcissist is making everything seem too good to be true by showering them with compliments, showering them with fake adoration, showering them with gifts, showering them with time, spending endless amounts of time with them, you know what I mean? Like every morning, every night, and sending them texts like I love you and you mean the world to me. I love you unconditionally, or we're gonna spend our lives together, something like that. Right? And that person's just saying, wow, I feel like I found my soulmate. Where's this person been all my life? And then they're asking all these questions, but what they don't know is what they've just found is somebody who's a fraud, somebody who's a facade, somebody who's a fake, right? That's what they don't realize that they just found. So that's the love bomb stage. The devaluation stage is the longest part of the cycle where what the narcissist is doing is they're seeing how much abuse that person's going to tolerate. Now, I made a video on the fact that abuse, like the love bomb, devaluation, discard, that was happening even in the love bomb stage. You just got little bits and pieces of it, but you didn't know what was happening, right? But in the devaluation stage, this is where the narcissist is amping it up. They're upping the ante, right? They're invalidating you more. You in the love bomb stage, your cooking was amazing. You were so beautiful, right? You were so sexy. You were so handsome and all that, right? You were all that in a bag of chips and all that stuff, right? And then now all of a sudden, just like that, the narcissist isn't saying I love you anymore. The narcissist, the cooking that you did, it doesn't taste good anymore. You appeared tall in the love bomb stage, but now the narcissist is invalidating you, saying, "Oh, look at that person over there. They're so tall," and they're complimenting them. And then you're looking at them saying, "Well, you used to say I was tall," and then the narcissist says, "No, I didn't." And then now they're gaslighting you to make it seem as though so that you can doubt yourself now, right? Or they, people start looking at you strangely now because the smear campaign it's happening, right? Many people think that the smear campaign, they did the smear campaign when they discarded you. No, the smear campaign, they were smear campaigning you from the beginning. And the reason why they were doing that was because, narcissists, they don't trust people. They can't, and they can't be alone. And they think that everybody is against them. They think that everybody is a narcissist just like they are. When that's not the truth, right? And we all know that that's not the truth, right? But that's how the narcissist paints it. They paint it that way for that reason, right? And so, that's the devaluation stage. And they're seeing how much of that you're going to tolerate, how much disrespect that you're going to tolerate. They're trying to see, they're testing you to your core, right? It's almost like, think of in the army. Now, I was never in the army or any of that. But one thing I know, because a lot of people have talked to me about that, is that in the army, they put you under pressure. They pressure you. They put you under a bunch of tests to see how strong you are, to test your energy, to test your strengths and what your weaknesses are. And the narcissist, that's what they're doing to you, right? It's almost like boot camp. Right? They're testing you to see how much abuse you're going to tolerate, how much longer you're going to stay until, how much more reactive abuse. That's another one. How much more prodding and pushing at your buttons you're going to take from them, right? And then once you flip out, once you say, stop, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. That's when that's when they get your replacement ready to take your place. Right? Because they had your replacement from the get-go. But what I'm saying is now they're setting them up. They're setting the trap for the new supply, right? They're saying, okay, so to the new supply, they're saying to the new supply, listen, get ready. We're about to get into this relationship. I'm just getting ready to discard this person. Then that new supply is being fired up. They're saying, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. Now they're in your shoes now. And then when that happens, then guess what happens once you stood up for yourself? Either the moving van comes there the next day, or you come home and your house is empty, or what happens is that you get a long text in your phone, saying that, we're done and I never want to see you again. Or you look in your bank account and it's all zeros and you don't find any money in your bank account. Either one of those things happen, right? All because the narcissist moved on, And again, I want you guys to understand this, okay? Don't think that the narcissist moved on because you're a bad person or because you suck. That's what the narcissist wants you to think, but that's not true. The reason the narcissist moved on is because they can't face what they did to you. Most of the time, it's a combination of they got the new supply, hook, line, and sinker, and then they're moving them into your place. But it's also a combination of the fact that they can't face all the things that they did to you. They can't face all the lying that they did to you. It's become too much for them to handle. Now that you put up a boundary also, they don't like boundaries. Narcissists can't have boundaries. They want to be able to do whatever they want whenever they want. That's why majority of narcissists, when it comes down to work and jobs, they need a job that allows for them to come and go as they please, to do whatever they want whenever they want to, right? Because narcissists don't like rules. 99% of the time, narcissists don't like rules. And I'll tell you this: if the narcissist seems like they like rules, I can tell you right now, that's because they're getting supply from that. They're getting energy from that, right? It's making them feel good for the time. Right? Because everything is temporary with the narcissist, right? Everything is temporary. Nothing lasts forever with the narcissist, okay? That's what I want you guys to understand. So that new supply, who cares about the new supply? Forget them. Move on. Live your best life. The new supply, and the other thing I want to mention before I end this video is that the new supply, the person that the narcissist is now has under their on the hooks, or has now, or claims that they have now, that new supply, I can tell you, they're getting it much worse because remember, with every new supply that the narcissist gets involved with, the narcissist is getting older every time. And guess what that means? Guess what happens as you get older? Most of the time, the older you get, the less patience that you have for nonsense, right? And the narcissist is no different. The older that they get, the more impatient that they get, the more angry that they get. And I'll tell you this, the new supply, I can tell you, they don't level up to what you had to offer. I'll tell you that right now. That new supply does not have what you have to offer because because it's just not possible, because you did everything for the narcissist. You cooked, you cleaned, you paid the bills, I'm sure. You had a job outside the home and you were working inside the home. You were raising the kids. You were doing everything. I know you were doing everything. You gave it your all because that's what you are, a good person, right? And the narcissists knew that, right? And they knew that they were going to hold on to that for a time until they were going to get rid of you, right? Because you were a good person. You had boundaries. You actually did what you said. You were a person of your word, right? And the narcissist doesn't like that. They don't like people, they don't like anything good. Kind of like the devil, Satan, Lucifer, right? Satan doesn't like anything good. But what I can tell you also, another thing is that narcissists, they're good. They're getting what's coming to them. They reap what they sow every single day. But the truth is that they don't want you to see them losing. Because if you saw all the losses that the narcissist was taking every day, it would be a narcissistic injury to them as well, because they see that they know that they know that you see them for who they are, and they can't have that, right? That's why they're so sneaky. That's why they're so nasty, right? Because this is what they do, right? So don't care about what the new supply is going on with. Don't care if the new supply, who the new supply even is. If it's your friend, who cares? If it's another sibling, who cares? If it's another person that your boss is replacing, if your boss is replacing you with someone else, who cares? Because that new supply, they're gonna get it worse than you did. Because the narcissist is getting more impatient. They're aging. They're getting older. And they're becoming the aging narcissist, right? And the aging narcissist, you don't want to be anywhere around these people. These people are more entitled. These people are more nasty. These people are more abusive. They're nasty. You don't want to be anywhere around them, right? So understand this, guys. Don't worry about the new supply. Focus on yourself. Go enjoy your life. Go live your life, right? Go prove to the narcissist that you don't need them, that you're better off without them. Because the truth is, you are better off without the narcissist. You don't need them in your life. The narcissist needed you, but you don't need them, right? Understand that. Understand that, all right? All right, guys, so thank you so much for joining me here today on Narcissism 101, Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Like I said, if you want a one-on-one session, please email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com. Or if you want to call, just send a text to 647-406-3057. If you need help, just reach out to me. Feel free. Like, subscribe, comment, share it with somebody who you think could use the knowledge. Share it with someone who is struggling and is trying to let go of something that they're holding on to. Share it with somebody. They could probably use the knowledge. They probably need help. We're helping people who don't even know that they even need help. Right? And that's the best thing we can do for anyone these days. All right? All right, guys. So thank you so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until next time, take care.